advancing deals through the pipeline is really the whole point of selling. Of course, the point is closure and generating revenue. But you can't close any deal without advancing it through the steps of the pipeline. So whenever you hear people talk about progress in a sales deal or advancing a sales deal, what they're referring to is the process of moving a company. It's the downward motion of a deal through the pipeline. So when a company goes from pre-qualified, I've never spoken to them, to qualified, I've had a phone conversation and explained my product. That's an advancement. When they've gone from qualified to developed, I've done a demo and they're still interested. That's an advancement. Each of those individual deals moving from one level of the pipeline to the next is the core of what salespeople are trying to accomplish. It can also be measured, and there are ways to get better at it, and there are ways to focus on it. All of those things will flow out of your pipeline, about how you define and measure your pipeline. So that's what advancement is. It's downward motion of those deals. The goal of all sales, of course, is a close. But the only way to get there is by advancement. So really, individual advancement of deals is the goal of the sales process. It's a victory to get a deal moved from developed. I've had an original meeting with them. Defined. I've had an original meeting with them to developed. I've spoken to every decision maker in their company. That's the goal, and that's a small victory. That's a step getting toward close. Also, the ratios will tell you where to apply resources. So you remember those ratios at what you're good and bad at in terms of how you advance deals will tell you where to apply the resources. If you're very good at getting a first meeting to a second meeting like we are here, but not so good at closing the deal, then you can apply your resources to this transition from the second meeting to closure. So you know which piece of advancement to apply resources. It also, if you define your levels well, advancement is easy to measure. If you're bad at defining these levels in your pipeline, you'll be confused about which deals are advancing and which aren't. If you make these levels definable actions or definable documents, instances, demos, things you can actually measure, not someone's thoughts on whether it's advanced, then you'll do a much better job of being able to diagnose problems and also track advancement progress. Also, the trending of how people are advancing, which will show up in your pipeline and in your dashboard, that trending will alert you to industry or customer global issues. So, for example, let's say you're doing great at advancing everyone along, and then everybody stops at closure. Maybe there's an economy issue or a budgeting issue that's affecting every customer. So that's the concept of advancement. It's simply the downward motion of deals through the pipeline, and it essentially is it's the brick that builds your ultimate sales progress. So every advancement is a victory, and that's really what you're working toward with your sales team.